Every small town has a story, and we're here to shine a light on the people, places, and moments that make ours unforgettable. Welcome to the Small Town Bold Stories podcast. On this episode of the podcast, I sat down with Wendy Spahn of Serenity Fitness in Brandenburg, and she shared how the business idea came from a necessity of her own health and how she was having issues and not getting answers, and she was her own advocate, and the business has grown from there. She started right around the start of the pandemic, but she has thrived and continues to grow today and adds more services to her business on Main Street. Check it out. Welcome to the podcast, Wendy. Thanks so much for coming on. Why don't you tell us about yourself and the business that you have in Brandenburg, and we'll kind of get into how it all came to be.
Well, thanks for having me here. Let's see, wow. Long story, I guess. I spent 25 years in the Army, and it's funny because a long time ago, my husband and I, we looked at a map and said, Kentucky might be a great place to land to retire because it's halfway between families. Mm-hmm. And then we kind of put that thought down. And getting towards our time to retire, it really kind of fell in our laps where it was, oh wow, it looks like we will be landing in Kentucky right at the very end, at least for me to retire. It was one of those things where you're looking for a place to live, and it's always my job to, and most people look towards E-Town, they look towards, those other places that are close to Fort Knox. Right. And I kept coming back to Brandenburg. My eyes were drawn to this river, to the water, to the valley, to this space. And just thinking about it makes me... chills. It does, actually. And this was 10 years ago. This was in 2016. And something happened, and it just swung us into this way. And we decided, you know what, we would rather be in Brandenburg. And we landed here, and within a couple weeks, my kids... they were both floored. They were both like, Mom, this is it. This is where we, actually, they said, Mom, our neighbors know our names. And no matter where we went, whether we lived on post, whether we lived in, they weren't old enough to remember Germany, but no matter where we lived, the people, they would drive into their driveways and
Shut the door.
Yes. There was never really a sense of community no matter where we went. And it was immediately felt here in Brandenburg, and we've never felt that anywhere else. And I hear that from a lot of people, right? Within a couple weeks, I don't know if it was just because of where we landed, in the cul-de-sac we landed in, we immediately had 3 sets of surrogate grandparents for our kids. Oh, wow. They would pick them up on the way down the hill from their bus stop. It was immediate, and our kids knew this was the place. My daughter got to start kindergarten here in the system, and for a military brat, that's unheard of. So she gets to spend her entire school system here in Meade County. And
one system.
Yeah. So the years went by. That was 2016, and I'm getting closer to retirement, and we're thinking, should we not? And it's just stacking up as more of, this really feels like home, and it's sinking in for us more. Usually after we've been somewhere for about a year or two, we get that antsy feeling where it's time to move.
Yeah, because you're moving every 2 or 3 years.
Exactly. We never got that. And once we landed here, we never got it again.
Felt like home and where you were supposed to be.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know there are, especially here in Meade County, you've got the standard names. You've got the old families that are here. But we feel like we belong here, even though we're the spawns, right? And there are no spawns. I don't know any spawns anywhere. But I feel like we actually belong, and we've never felt ostracized. We've never felt pushed away. I hear that from some people, but my husband does a lot with the church. He does a lot in the community. He works for the paper, and I've been able to, and I feel like I was welcomed with open arms when I decided to open a business.
Well, let's get into that.
Okay.
Court. I just wanted to make for sure as a backup. So
you moved all around
Yes.
for many different years. You were from Alabama. You ended here. You decided to retire here and start your business. Tell us about your business and kind of what your background was and how it made sense for you to do what you're doing.
Right. This is one of those things where in the military I was a musician, so you'd think that that's what I would do.
I did not know that.
Yeah, so I played clarinet for 25 years. My husband was also a musician, and although as you climb higher in the ranks, we do less and less of that. We have to do a lot more of the management piece. But it got around closer to my retirement, and my body started to break down, and I started to deteriorate. We lost a child in 2006. And it was I don't know if that was part of it. It could have been. I was diagnosed with some things, PTSD, and you wrap that up into some body stuff, some mental stuff. And as my body started to break down, the doctors would just say, I don't know, right? And
blame it on age or...
Right, they would tell me, you're a woman, of course your back hurts. You're pregnant, of course your back hurts. They would never even send me for an x-ray. I was gaslit by so many physicians, so I decided, fine, I'm going to figure it out myself. I started off with getting just my certifications. So in 2011, I was certified as a fitness trainer, nutrition, like all of the big things. Right, and started working with soldiers and practicing with that stuff and really got focused on form. What am I doing wrong with my body and how can I help other people? What is causing this dysfunction? What is causing this pain? I have to be doing something. Exactly, because we can use movement as a preventive medicine. Right? All they want to give me are shots and medication, surgery, a lot of... Exactly. So as I'm continuing and I'm breaking down even further and they're doing that, I don't know, right? Here's some more pills. So I said, fine, I'll go get my master's degree in exercise science and health promotion as a wellness coach. We're going to figure this out.
And you did.
And I did.
Okay.
Yes. And that was in 2016. So that was right after I landed here. I finished my master's degree in exercise science, not thinking I was ever going to actually
do what you're doing.
Professionally use it. No. It was solely selfish. It was just for me. How can I fix what I've broken? And their certifications just began to build. And I'm getting chills again just thinking about how I think I was put on this path where little by little the universe was like, you don't realize you're meant to be in Brandenburg. You're meant to be helping people doing exactly what you're doing right now. We're just kind of feeding it to you along the way and nudging you in the right directions. And then part of my thesis for my master's degree was talking about using exercise as preventive medication, working to get veterans off of opioids, because that is costing us
issues.
That's costing
lots of money too.
People millions of dollars in tax dollars.
Exactly.
To keep these people on opiates, which is horrible.
It's not fixing the problem. It's just putting a Band-Aid on it.
So that was really my thesis, thinking, okay, someone has to be doing this. Well, there was, right about that same time, I ran across an old coach of mine that I had worked with right after my daughter had passed away. And she was my old triathlon coach. And she had linked up with someone with yoga medicine. And she was one of their instructors. And she started telling me about all of this stuff, how they were combining the yoga with the science of yoga and the nervous system, the biomechanics, all of the things, putting it all together and using it as therapeutics to help people, using it as preventive medicine. And I went, oh, there we go. Someone's doing it. Ding, 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 right? Yeah. And I had already loved yoga because it was one of the only things, especially after my daughter died, that could really take me out of that headspace and make it okay mentally. And it was something that I could really keep as my own. It was never a religious thing. It was never even really spiritual. It was all about the nervous system for me. It put me in a headspace that I could just exist as a human being. Mm-hmm. And function really as a mom, honestly, because I still had a little boy, right? And then I had another beautiful girl afterwards. I linked up with yoga medicine the year before I retired, still not thinking I was actually going to open a studio. I was never going to do that. That was frightening.
No, for sure. In a town that you're not from, don't really know that many people.
Not just a town that I'm not from, but a conservative town that is going to push back on something like that. It was scary. But I knew there was something inside that was, Wendy, you have
telling you
to do, yes. And it was pushing hard. They need you. They need you. If you can just get them inside the door and show them that you can make them feel better, if you can just show them how far you've come. You've come from rock bottom mentally, physically. When I retired from the Army, I was 100% disabled by the VA. 100%. I could barely move. I couldn't walk. I couldn't open. There were so many things. I was 200 pounds. And I used yoga. I used meditation. I used myofascial release, which was my lifesaver. That myofascial release, working on the fascia and all of the new science that is, hand over foot coming, barreling into the space now. Amazing this works. And combining all of it together and bringing it to Brandenburg has just been a lot of fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's kind of the story behind it.
Yes.
Fast forward a little bit to March of 2020. And the world just got turned upside down. You opened on March 7th, 10 days before the world shut down.
Yeah.
How was that? Like, that had to have been a crazy feeling. And then boom, that short period of time after that, like, how did you get by?
I retired from the Army March of 2020.
So March was a busy month.
It was huge. That was my year. I was one of those people that ruined it for everyone. I was one of those saying, this is my year, right? March of 2020. And I opened the studio March 7th of 2020 with my momentum was up.
Yeah, you were ready to go.
All of my classes were full. People were excited to see what I was bringing, and what I wanted to bring was something that was affordable. Because when you look around, all you see are high dollar studios that people can't afford to go to. And look around at Meade County. We've got people who can afford it, but the majority of people in Meade County cannot afford this. But does it mean that they don't deserve it?
Yeah.
No. I believe that everyone deserves this level of peace, this healing, right? So I came in with as small of numbers as I could think of, that this would be like a community service. I had a military pension. I have 100% disability through the VA. But remember, at the time, I could barely move. I was trying to heal myself as well. So trying to figure out how all of this was working, and at the same time, transitioning out of 25 years in the Army. And when you are institutionalized that long, that transition is not very pretty. It doesn't happen very well. It's not smooth. So when 10 days later, we had to shut down, or I had to shut down, I took that as a sign that It was almost like the universe kicked me in the throat, down to the ground, and said, Wendy, sit down.
Yeah, that had to have been a tough one.
Take a break. Now's your time to get you healthy, get you back together, figure out how this is going to work. Because I really don't think I could have brought a quality product into Brandenburg as broken as I was.
With that, Wendy.
Yeah,
Versus.
exactly. Yeah.
And like something you kind of touched about was you wanted to help people feel better, but you want to make sure it was accessible and that everybody kind of feels welcome. And
Yeah.
I feel like that's a big thing for a lot of people is they might be intrigued or want to go to something like that, but they're scared or
Yes.
they don't know if they really feel like it's for them, but that's something you really focus on.
Well, I think that's a huge piece. So people come to my studio and they say, I would have never walked into a regular studio. I feel embarrassed, or because I'm overweight, or because I'm older, or a male, or whatever. And I'm going to tell you probably the average age of students in my classes are between 60 and 65. They've had hip replacements, knee replacements, male and female. They're business owners here in Meade County. They're churchgoers. They are grandmothers. They're aunts. They're
Kids and athletes.
right. Well, PJ with CrossFit, right?
Yeah.
She has me come out every summer and work with the kids' camps. And I love working with kids because I can help them establish a routine to be able to work on that emotional regulation piece. Get started early.
From a young age.
Right.
And have that good foundation.
To be able to learn how to just breathe. There are so many people that don't even really know how to properly breathe with their diaphragm. They're breathing in a way that keeps them in a state of panic. And so that's what we really focus on. So now the schools have me come out for all of their events, and we talk about meditation and we talk about mindfulness. Mindfulness is huge, and I love doing that with the community. That is so much fun. And now there are units at Fort Knox that have me come out into small breakout sessions. I'll do 15-minute sessions at Fort Knox with units at Fort Knox, 15 minutes at a time, like 5 sessions. And they'll just send in their workers, mostly contract workers, some soldiers. Those are a lot of fun, but it's open. I mean, I'm open. Who wants to bring me in? Like corporate.
You'll pretty well do it.
Yeah, that's exactly. Awesome. Trying to spread the word.
So, we kind of talked about the people of all ages, all different people can benefit from it. I guess let's talk about a little bit more kind of the specifics of what you offer at the studio. So obviously the first one, yoga classes, people probably have some idea, but if somebody doesn't know like what happens during that, what should they know about a traditional type yoga class?
Right.
Or how you do it differently?
Right. So a lot of people have misconceptions about what yoga actually is. So there are people who think yoga is strictly religious, strictly in the Hindu religion, right? Well, it was born from the Hindu religion thousands of years ago. But like many things that were old traditions, they have evolved into something that we practice now that are helpful. Well, there are so many different types of yoga. There's so many different types. So what I practice is something that has evolved into what can help us. What can we use to work with our nervous system? And so that's what I focus on. And I focus on the science behind what I'm doing. And if I can't lock in on the science behind what I'm doing, I don't use it.
Okay. Makes sense.
Right. So mostly what I do is therapeutic. And I have 2 other instructors. I have Katie and I have Ashley. Ashley teaches on Thursdays at 6 o'clock. Now her class is more of a workout. Okay. If you go on Thursdays at 6, be prepared to sweat. But that's a great class. And then on Tuesdays, at 7, Katie does a great class I lovingly call adult nap time.
Okay.
Yes. So you're right. So you're barely going to move, and it's actually a pretty tough class Because how many people have a hard time just being still?
For an hour?
And a half.
Okay.
Yeah. So you may move a handful of times and just a few poses, but each of these poses you're going to lie in for like 5 minutes. And they're not hard. We're talking like 30% of a stretch. She'll take you through breathing exercises and meditation. We're talking about deep mode nervous system regulation.
And really your mind probably a lot in that one too, right?
Oh yeah. Well, we're trying to unravel all of that garbage in the mind that is causing all of the problems. Okay. So people who are in that chronic state of fight or flight, these people who suffer from severe panic, anxiety.
That's what it's really for.
That's who it's for.
Like that.
Exactly. And then she teaches also a Pilates on Monday evenings. That's really working your core if you want something to work the core out. A little more of a workout for your stomach. Let's see.
What about I told you I wasn't going to say it, myofascial?
Oh, you almost got it. Myofascial release.
Okay. Tell us about that one.
So I like to say that's what I specialize in because that's what saved my life, honestly. That's what has that's what has made me mobile. That's why I feel like that's what made me human again. That is, I have myofascial release on Thursdays at 12. It's like an hour class. Mm-hmm. I have soldiers who will come from Fort Knox and call it physical therapy. And basically that's what it is. I have some people who will come, and say, and tell their bosses, hey, I'm going to physical therapy. I'll be back in an hour. But that's really what it's good for. If you are struggling with mobility, if you are having issues, okay, let's go back to what your fascia is. Your fascia is that unending bodysuit that's right up under your skin. Okay. And it's aqueous, so it's fluid. And it can dry out, it can get sticky. So if you are constantly rolling those shoulders forward, right? Yep. So if you have...
Everybody sit up straight.
I know, right? If you have poor posture, your fascia says, oh, okay, this is the shape that I want to take. Yeah, and it'll glue you into that spot, right? So, and especially... if you have that pain between your shoulder blades, most of us do, because we're typing, or we're on our phones. For every inch that your chin dips down, you put 10 pounds of pressure on your cervical spine. That's why that little hump starts to form right there in your back on your cervical spine. That's fascia, right? So there are things that you can do to counteract. We're not going to stop playing on our phones. We're not going to stop typing, right? We're not going to stop all of these things. So if we can practice counteracting what we do, then we can balance. And really that's what we're looking for is balance.
So it's really about the whole body and like how you make it.
Yes, I'm using balls and blocks and foam rollers. We're going for trigger points. We're going for all kinds of things. When you leave that class, you feel taller.
Okay. Okay. I'm not going to try to say that one again, but that's the one you leave taller from. Got it?
Yes.
Restorative type programs.
Yes. So that restorative class, that's that Tuesday evening with Katie.
Okay.
That restore and relax. That one is the adult nap time.
Gotcha. And then Reiki. I say it right?
Yes, you did. Reiki. So Reiki is, I'm not going to say it's up and coming, but this is a couple 100-year-old practice of using the energy that's around us, right? And anyone can do it. People are trained to manipulate this energy. And like I said, I like to ground everything in science, right?
So give us the science behind it.
Right, okay. So science has proven that we absorb and we send energy to and from other people, right? Well, this energy is subtle energy, not physical energy that is emitted by electrical devices, right? It doesn't have weight, but it actually exists, right? So we have an aura, that electromagnetic field that is emitted by the neurons from our heart, right? We can absorb energy from other people, and it just sticks. Some people are more sticky than others.
Some of it good, some of it bad, probably.
Yes, right. Some people, it just falls off. Some people are naturally centered and grounded and protective, and they drive me crazy. I really wish that were a thing for me, right?
Yeah.
But it's like tuning to a radio. I can feel that energy. And there are people who can be trained to push through that and manipulate that and help you to let it go.
Gotcha.
Okay. So at the basis, regardless of what you believe about Reiki, it is setting up your relaxation response so your brain can start to get to work to heal yourself.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
So like probably learning to like turn it off a little bit and how to deal with all that stuff too, I guess.
Flip you into that rest and digest.
Okay. So that you can go to nap time for an hour and a half on Tuesdays.
Oh, it's a great nap time. Yes.
Crystal therapy and wellness coaching were kind of the last two. And then you got one more we could talk about later. But tell us about crystal therapy and kind of how that one works.
So I combine the crystal therapy with my Reiki as much as I can. So I do have these short Reiki sessions. So it's backed by research that has just come out that's really great, that's proven that the short 20-minute sessions, like once a week, like in a series of 3 or a series of 6, tend to be more effective than just coming in once in a blue moon for a long session. Right. Sense. So I've started doing those, and I have those on the that you can book online. But if you come in for one of those long sessions, I will use the crystals and the stones. Each crystal has its own frequency, right? And it's a static state. Our frequency is not static, okay? It's not steady. Right, exactly. Anything that we have, everything else is pretty steady. So the theory is that the crystal's steady state help to steady ours.
You kind of bring to like an equilibrium.
Yeah, always working for balance, exactly. So depending on what we use or what I use, wherever it is on the body, using the clear quartz, which we know powers machines, we know they have extreme amount of, they call it piezoelectricity. That works with the Reiki, which also works with the pulsed EMF therapy that I have in the bed, which works with the ion therapy in the bed.
It's all working together.
Yes, it's just all one great experience.
Okay. So you've kind of grown. One of the things that you really, I guess, is relatively new is the Opus sound bed.
Yes.
I know you're excited about that one. What should people know about it?
So the Opus sound bed, it's vibroacoustics. They've been studying vibroacoustics for a long time. And it all boils down to frequency. It all boils down to energy. Pretty much everything in the studio boils down to energy. When we're working with energy and vibroacoustics, if you can imagine those vibrations, they go through your body, right? Okay. So working through, and which can access some of those spaces that, let's say, typical treatments like red light therapy can't access, right? Mm-hmm. The Opus sound bed is a fully immersive, entertaining experience.
Is it literally like a bed, like the make sound?
It is a bed that you lie on. It's a pretty substantial, it's like 100 pounds. It's not a mat that you roll out. I mean, it's got vibration, and you get a pair of headphones that you wear with it. And it has, right now, it's got over 140 sessions that they've created. This is a brand new thing. It was a Kickstarter that I bought into like 5 years ago.
Oh, so yes. It's like new.
It is new, and I think there are only, the last time I checked, there are less than 3,000 of them out in the world. So they're really hard.
There's one in Brandenburg, Kentucky.
That's exactly, awesome. There's one in Brandenburg. And then everybody who tries it absolutely loves it. Everyone gets, their first session is free. So everyone gets a free 9-minute demo.
Okay.
And people have told me that it's like an amusement park ride. So with the sound, what you hear, they tune it to the frequency in the bed, and is targeted
Just
up
certain
and
parts of
down
your
your body. Yes, it's one of those things where it's really hard to describe, and that's why I tell people, no, go lay down. You'll
see you in 9 minutes.
Exactly, yeah. I just bully them onto the bed, and they're glad I do.
And is that something I think you do somebody can do that as much as they want?
I have an unlimited sound bed option now.
Okay.
It's $59 a month. It pays for itself after 2 visits. You can get up to 30 minutes at a time. And like I said, there's over 140 sessions. Some of them they've got 5 minutes all the way up to 30-minute sessions that we can piece together depending on what you're looking for. Pain, relaxation, cellular repair, sleep, energy. It's unlimited. Yes, you have to come try it out.
Okay. Might have to do that. And then, if somebody's wanting something more private, that's something you do as well. So you do private options to kind of help people based on their particular needs.
Right.
And if they're not comfortable maybe in a class setting, start in a private and then go to the class.
And that's something that I really would like to start leaning into even more. So I want more people to come in for these private myofascial release sessions, these private yoga sessions. Let's say if you've tried everything, you've done the chiropractor thing, you've done the physical therapy.
Rock bottom, probably.
Exactly. And you've got this chronic pain, or you've got this condition, you've done everything, you've been gaslit by everyone, and they tell you there's nothing else we can do but surgery or whatever. Come see me. Let me try next. I have got several clients out there who are feeling relief that they haven't felt in 10 years.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. You probably didn't have any idea when you got into it that would be the success that you had.
Oh my gosh, no. And
you knew from yourself that it was possible, but you probably didn't anticipate being able to do that for so many other people.
No. I went to Spain to learn about shoulder dysfunction. I went to Bali to learn about hip dysfunction.
Oh, that sounds terrible having to go to Bali now.
I know, right? There's no end to how far I will travel to go around the world to learn. What do I need to learn to help you guys? Because I know. It's giving me
some way, something out there to make it work.
Yes, there's another way.
And it doesn't.
Don't add more pills. Don't add more, don't do the shots. I'm not saying that modern medicine is bad because it's needed. I'm just saying that what I have to offer can marry up very nicely with modern medicine and offer that relief that you've been searching for. Yeah.
So you kind of alluded to it. You're always learning. What are you working on now for the future that would be beneficial to helpful to people?
Yeah, so I got the master's degree, I've got all those certifications, and I'm working with yoga medicine. This is Tiffany Cruikshank. She is a worldwide company that helps people therapeutically, right? Doing exactly what I'm doing now. And so I'm working currently to finish a 500-hour, it's taken me a while, a 500-hour yoga medicine therapeutic specialist certification. And as soon as I finish the module I'm in now, which is the mental health module, and it goes all the way into the mental health, not just physical. So I'm learning how to use that portion as well, leaning in. When I'm finished and certified with this, I could have done it before, but now it's going to be legit. There are physicians locally who will refer out to me.
Okay.
Yeah. So I will be in the medical world, let's say, because I already have that extensive knowledge, anatomy, physiology, kinesiology, all of the things.
So this is not, we haven't talked about this or like in the past, but are some of these things, if people have insurance, like would insurance pay for some of these things eventually maybe?
I would love to. And so that's potentially what I'm working towards. So the growth of my studio, I'm working on the FSA, HSA,
different
all of
things.
that stuff, right? I'm working to get into the VA. I'm working to get into any way that I can make it accessible.
It's accessible to people
As
like yourself.
accessible as possible. As it is, it's cheaper than a massage. If you come to see me privately, it's cheaper than your massage that you're already getting.
And this is probably going to be a lot better too. So.
Oh, absolutely. It's going to last. This relief is going to last much longer. But eventually, as this starts to grow, then, and these modalities start to become more mainstream, hopefully they will be covered.
And there's more options. And stuff
Right, be covered more by insurance. I'm
Makes
definitely going to take it.
Yeah, makes sense. I
Yeah.
didn't know if it could or not. So that's a plan you're working on. Anything else that you're working on that people should know about the business? It's okay to say no for right now too.
I'm always working on something. I've got workshops every month. So when I went to Bali and when I went to Spain, especially my shoulders and my hips are so bad. I injured mine as well. So I've been using what I've learned to heal and to get that back. And because I know it works, I've been teaching these monthly workshops. So this Saturday on the 18th is another shoulder workshop, and I'm starting to stream these online now through Zoom.
Okay.
Then the following week is another hip workshop. It's just getting to know your shoulders, getting to know your hips. And then I would like to start taking all of this more online, start streaming it
Make
more.
it easy for people.
Yes.
Okay. So if people, I'm assuming probably the best way to stay in touch is social media, your website, those type of things, but tell people how they can stay in touch, learn more, reach out, where
Right.
you're located, all that fun stuff.
Right, yes. So I'm located on Main Street, right next to the Daily Grind, across from PG Studio Art Center. And the best thing is to text me.
Okay.
Yeah, so honestly, but my phone number is everywhere on there. But I've posted what's it called? A QR code that's pretty much everywhere. It's got my link tree, so you can find my website, which I try to keep up to date. I've got stories and everything. I've got
Where you can put classes online, you said earlier too, on your website.
right, yes. And if you join my Serenity Fitness Brandenburg new Facebook group, that's where I'm building with free meditations. I'm putting in free classes. Right, I'm starting to build a community of, for people locally.
Gotcha.
Who want stuff like that. But my phone number, my website.
All that's online, and we'll put in the show notes. People
Right.
can link to it too when we post it.
Yeah, really trying to make it as. Here's the thing. I'm a typical 50-year-old mom, okay? So if you text me and I don't text back, Gen X here, I'm really bad about seeing that. So if you really want to get in touch with me and I don't respond to a text, just call me. Yes,
Do the
just
old school
call.
way.
Yes, call me and half the time I don't know where my phone is.
Your kids are going to go, Mom.
They do it all the time, and my husband will call and say, "Honey, did you leave your phone at home?" And I'll look around and go, "Dang it."
Well, that's okay though.
Yeah, and so if I don't get back with you immediately, I really apologize. It's not intentional.
It's not personal. It's just.
It's the old lady thing. So.
That's okay. Well, anything else you want to touch on before we wrap things up today?
I think we're good. Yeah, gosh, I could talk for days, but
Just come see you on Main Street.
yes,
You
please.
can help somebody some way, somehow, I'm sure. So.
There are people who still tell me now that they had no clue we have a yoga studio. 6 years later.
I think Natalie said something similar to the same way when she was on,
Right.
people, I didn't know you were here, been here 6 years.
Yes.
And-
People who live here, who
Yeah.
work here, downtown, they come and get coffee every week.
And it says yoga on the side of the building.
They get coffee every week, and I'm next door.
Well, thank you for coming on. It's been interesting. I had no idea there was this much that went into it, but I appreciate it. And I think we could talk for hours. But...
Yes, it's a mixed bag.
Okay. Well, thanks so much, Wendy. I appreciate it.
So you've got a cool story to tell, something about our community that makes it strong and unique. You have a business, someone that has a really cool story about the history of our community or anything else. Well, we want to tell that story on the podcast. So do us a favor and visit smalltownboldstories.com so that we can tell that story next and you get to hear it. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Small Town Bold Stories podcast, brought to you by Next Home Chisholm Realty. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode, and we'll catch you next time with more bold stories from the heart of our hometowns.